Yo. All right. We are in here live. That's right. It is your boy Divine Sense that's back stateside. It's good to see everyone, man. Back in here. All right. So I've been back in the States now for probably about almost a week, but it's been very difficult for me to, find a spot to go live and, do that whole thing. I brought my equipment for the most part to be able to at least do a few live streams while I'm out here. But like I said, man, it's been really difficult to get everything organized, but it looks like for the most part, we're good to go. So the people that were able to come in here this afternoon, I appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to talking about this fight, man. Even though I don't go live, I do pay attention. I try to hit up YouTube at least once or twice a day and follow up with the big channels out here, dropping the big news. Before I went live today, I just got done listening to Blue Blood and some other channels out here talking about this fight. I also dropped by BFTB, who went live around this time yesterday. So I like to gather information and hear people's point of view. And a lot of times it's not something that I particularly like to talk about. Like, I don't necessarily like talking about the politics of boxing. I much prefer to break down fights and do predictions and stuff like that. But nonetheless, boxing politics is something that we got to deal with and we got to talk and address. That's why we have a voice. So first, let me go ahead and give a couple shout outs for the people that did come in here. My man, Platt Boys Plays back in the building, man. Official member of the channel, one of the original official members to the channel, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by. Andrew Charles in the building was good. Kondo in the building, man. Salute to you, man. Hope you're doing well out there. Omega Red, good to see you. Kano Loco Sports, how you doing, man? Thanks for dropping by. William, good to see you, man. I see you putting in the work, supporting a lot of channels out here and a lot of different live chats, man. Hope you're doing well out there. Bruce Goes, the OG. Bruce Gas, Boxing, Jazz, and more. That's what's up. Good to see you, OG, Bruce. And my man Jeffrey popping up in here. Massachusetts representing in the building. I appreciate every single one of you guys. And you guys see my Instagram here on the screen. Make sure you guys follow me, man, because I try to let you guys know on Instagram probably about 20 to 30 minutes before I go live, because YouTube on those shenanigans. They don't notify nobody. I'm live like 30 minutes, 40 minutes before people get notified. So Instagram is a good way, for you guys to be alerted that your boy Divine Sense is about to go live. So make sure that you follow me there if you haven't already. Big Dog in the building. Good to see you. All right. So let's get into it. Now, we all know, if you've been paying attention, that pretty much ever since George Kambosos was able to dethrone, right, and take all those belts and become the unified lightweight champion, that most boxing fans, for at least the ones that I associate with in life and here on YouTube, is we wanted to see the Devin Haney fight. It was no secret, right? Definitely no secret. And we kind of waited for a little bit to see what George was going to do. We accepted the fact that he wanted to go enjoy his victory, go back home, be with his family. Cool, no problem with that. But we waited. And we waited. And we waited. And then, come to find out, the dude's trying to focus his energy on fighting Lomachenko. Right? So, of course, people are disappointed. People ask questions. People want to know the ins and outs. Why is this happening? Because it's quite obvious, right? You don't have to be a boxing expert, but you should have the basic knowledge and understanding on how boxing works. Why would Kambosos want to fight the dude who lost to the dude that he just beat? Like, it doesn't make much sense. Now, when it comes to ducking, right? The word ducking, that word is thrown around a lot amongst casuals, diehards, content creators, media, whatever it may be. The word ducking. Well, what does that really mean? Like, how do you duck someone? Because fighters will lead you to believe that they want to fight everybody. It's not their fault. There's too many things that need to be done behind the scenes, and therefore we are starved as boxing fans to not get the fights that we want. That's what they lead you to believe. Rod out a Prophet in the building. GB Lifetime Videos, man, what's up? So that's what they lead us to believe, right? That's the fighters. They say, well, I want to fight everybody, but there's just a lot of things that need to be done. We got to make the right, are you ready for this? We got to make the right business decision. All right, so let's call it what it is then. call an ace and a spade. It's about business for you. It is not about legacy. Now, George Kambosos is a dude that has been going around him preaching. He's been preaching this whole time that he's been carrying these belts around Australia, that it's about legacy. All I want is legacy. I want to be known to be the best. But that's where hypocrisy comes into play. You tell everybody you want to fight for a legacy, but then you tell people, oh, well, I couldn't get the Haney fight because it's business. So yeah, I scratched my head. I started asking questions. Then all of a sudden, as we're here expressing our thoughts and our opinions and our discontent with the fact that Kambosos is going to try to fight the dude that beat the dude that he just beat. Then the situation in Russia and Ukraine happened. Now we all sit back, we're watching this unfold. It's a tragic situation. And without getting too political about it, the end result, as far as Lomachenko is concerned, is that he's over there dealing with what he feels like he needs to deal with. So that puts Kambosos in a corner, right? That makes Kambosos say, damn, Lomachenko's stuck out there. So what am I going to do next? Because you're not going to rematch Teofimo, right? So the only one on the table, according to you, the only two fighters that you want to fight is Lomachenko or Haney. So now Lomachenko's off the board. You got no choice but to fight Devin Haney. Okay. Now we're willing to, as diehard boxing fans at least, to forgive you. We're willing to say, you know what? Maybe we'll play devil's advocate. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe Devin Haney wanted more money. Maybe it was easier to work with Lomachenko's team. All right, cool. But Lomachenko's out of the picture now, so therefore, there should be no issue fighting Devin Haney. Make the fight happen, make it fair, make it make sense. Now, if you guys haven't watched the recent interview, Fight Hype, Kambosos says very specifically in this interview, if you haven't watched it, it came out a couple of days ago, make sure you go get updated. But Kambosos made it very clear in that interview that I'm giving Devin Haney 3 days to decide. 3 days to decide on if he's going to take the same offer that I offered Lomachenko. Yes, that includes coming out here to Australia to fight me. And as like Kambosos likes to say, I got the hardware. I'm the emperor. I'm the king. You got to come to me. 3 days to accept those terms. Now, we don't know. G5, Gabe in the building. What's good? One Way Rensno. What's good, man? So we don't really know what those terms exactly were. I'm saying about Lomachenko, because that stuff wasn't fully signed. It wasn't a guarantee. It was conversation, more or less. But what we do know, or what we have a very strong speculation to believe, is that he was promising Lomachenko a 2-fight deal for X amount of money. And Lomachenko obviously is in a situation that is not the same situation that Devin Haney is. Devin Haney is a champion. Let me say that again. Devin Haney, right now, as I'm live speaking on this mic, is a champion. Lomachenko lost his belts. He's in a different situation. He doesn't deserve as much. I don't care what you think about him. His amateur pedigree, the different things that he's accomplished in the professional ranks, not that it's that extensive, to be honest. Not discrediting him as a fighter, But since people want to talk about the politics of boxing and resumes and money and business, this is what we're talking about. The dude is trying to rectify himself. He is not in the same situation as Devin Haney. Devin Haney is a champion. So how are you going to offer him the same deal that you offered Lomachenko? Now, before people go crazy, because I know people are lurking and they're watching and they'll come back here later and say, oh, well, that's not Kambosos' fault because Devin Haney said on Twitter or Instagram, whatever he posted it, that he'll essentially take whatever deal that he offered Lomachenko. So it's a situation, or is it, of Kambosos calling his bluff. See, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. And let me explain. If Devin Haney comes out, Arturo, what's good, bro? If Devin Haney comes out and says, man, stop all these shenanigans, I'll take whatever deal you were offering Lomachenko and I'll meet you in Australia and we can make it happen. I got no problem with that. Okay? That shows me that Devin Haney is willing to fight. He's willing to do whatever it takes to get that fight. Right? Moped in the building. Yes, sir. We live, man. Your boy Divine Sense is back stateside. What's good, man? So, I don't have a problem with that. But this is where I kind of get a little bit agitated, right? The thorn in the side started to pierce in between the ribs a little bit. Cambosis gives him 3 days. Like, we don't even know who, like, we don't even know the exact details that were a part of that agreement between him, Kambosos, and Lomachenko. We don't know. We know parts of it, right? So you give the man 3 days to make a decision, get the terms that were offered to Lomachenko to then be offered to you, and for you to make that decision. So I'll leave it for the chat. Just K, what's up, bro? I'll leave it for the chat. What is your opinion? Do you think that Kambosos was calling Devin Haney's bluff and giving him 3 days was fair and just? Or do you think that Kambosos is showing nervous energy? He's showing nervous energy, and that's why he's putting this timeline into this fight, right? Into this agreement. I'll let y'all make that decision for yourself. Y'all can put it in the chat if you want to. I do want to say this, though, too, before I get into more of the stylistic point of view of this fight, because I wanted to get this little politics side of things out of the way for a moment. Here's the thing. The idea of going to Australia. Now, I'm going to say this, right? Devin Haney's a young man. I don't know if he's ever traveled outside of the country before. I'm going to keep it real with you guys, right? You guys know how I do it here. I keep it real and authentic all the time. He's a young dude, right? I don't know if he's ever traveled that far out of the country before. Maybe he's been to the Caribbean. Maybe he's been to Hawaii, right? But I would bet money, or I'm very confident, that he's never traveled as far as he's willing, or he's saying he's willing to travel to Australia. People, I just came from Thailand a week ago. Do you know how long it took me in total, right? Including all of the flights, the transits, the layovers, everything, right? And I flew business for half of it, not for the whole thing. Because when I made it stateside and flew domestically, I flew economy. But I flew business. But my point is this. Do you know how long it took me? It took me a total of 18 hours to get from Bangkok, Thailand to St. Louis, Missouri. And not only is it that period of time, but also you lose a day. You lose a whole day. Okay? When you cross that international transit line, you lose a day. So you're saying, all right, I hear you. So what's your point? My point is, if you've never taken that type of flight before, it may sound like, oh, I can get on a private plane and, whatever, comfortable, fly there, no problem. But when you're really faced with that situation, like you ready, like you really going to take this flight. You know what I mean? It starts to sit in a little bit. You're like, damn, 20 hours, 18 to 20 hours of you doing nothing, of you having like inactivity, and not only inactivity, but 35,000 feet in the air. Okay. And every time I personally make these type of flights, it takes me about 2 to 3 days to get readjusted, like my biological clock. It takes a lot out of you, more than you realize. George Kambosos said in his interview with Fight Hype that he has traveled to the States multiple times, and he has taken transit flights. It took him, 15 to 20 hours to get where he needed to get to fight, have these fights, and et cetera, et cetera. So he's used to it. So therefore, that's why he's forcing the issue to have his next fight in Australia, which I completely understand. He's done his work. He's come to the States. He's had these fights. He's did what he had to do to take these belts. So I'm cool with that. But I'm sitting here thinking like, all right, there might be a possibility where now that there are terms on the table and Devin Haney has the pen in his hand, right? He's got to think about all of this, people. Everything. It's not just, well, how much money am I going to get, where the fight's going to be, whatever it may be. He got to consider two big factors that are very important. Number one, according to Kambosos, there's not going to be any rematch clause. So it's a one-fight deal. Number two, he's got to take this 20-hour flight, which means that if they're trying to make the fight in June, he needs to get back there ASAP, like tomorrow. Because he needs to get there, take this long flight that he's probably never done before, and get training quickly. He's going to feel like shit for a couple of days because his biological clock's messed up. He's going to be a little bit out of routine. But he needs to get into the gym. We're going into April already, right? We're basically in April. So by the time they sign everything signed, sealed, and delivered, agreement, blah, 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 we're looking probably in the first to second week of April. Now you got to go train. So it favors Cambosis massively in this regard. So I wanted to throw that out there. When you're sitting down getting ready to sign a contract, you got to plan these things. When can I take a flight? What kind of flight am I going to take? What time am I going to land there? What kind of training camp am I going to have? Where am I going to train? What what gym? Do I bring my whole team? Only some of my team? Do I bring my family? Do I not bring my family? Like, this is a big thing for a young man and Devin Haney. And by the way, this isn't a flight to the UK. A flight to the UK is like, I don't know, depending on where you're flying from. You know what I mean? If you're flying from New York to London, it's only like, I want to say maybe 5 to 6 hours. Something like that. There's nothing. So I wanted to throw that perspective out to you because I don't think a lot of people talk about it. I'm a traveler, right? I've traveled tens and thousands of miles throughout my lifetime. And being an athlete, training and doing the things that I do, I know the toll that it takes out on your body and the things that you have to prepare for mentally. So I wanted to put that out there. So it's interesting when you think about all the logistics. Now, he's got 3 days. Now, I don't know if today's the last day or he's got to make a decision today or tomorrow. And how firm they're actually, you know what I'm saying, like making him stick to that 3-day timeline. But, you know, there's a lot of intricate details, man, when we look at a big fight like this. Now, with all that being said, I personally think the fight's going to happen. I don't think that Kambosos has much of a choice, you know, because he knows that he's between a rock and a hard place, right? If he, fights somebody else, then, people are just going to run him through the shredder. Because he said himself that it's either Lomachenko or Devin Haney. Lomachenko, we know it's not happening. So it's basically Devin Haney now. So if that fight doesn't happen, then it's going to be finger pointing, right? George Kambosos is going to come and say, I offered the deal. Devin Haney didn't sign it in time, or he didn't agree to terms, or whatever the case is. And he's going to try to put the blame on Devin Haney and his side. And he's going to go on and fight somebody else. Devin Haney's going to come out and say, well, you can't throw 3 days at me. You know what I'm saying, and we didn't know the exact details as far as Lomachenko's concerned. It's not the same deal. You gave us a different deal. And then you only gave me 3 days to decide to basically relocate to Australia to start a training camp to fight you. It's not a small decision. This is a mega fight. All belts on the line, undisputed. So it either happens or it's going to fall apart, and it's going to be nasty. And like I said, there's going to be a lot of finger pointing. I personally say that it's going to happen. I think that both fighters and both promotional companies, both sides, both management teams, they're hungry for a fight to get going. There's too much money involved in this. And yeah, I think it's going to happen. Now, let's talk about the fight itself. And if y'all haven't hit that like button, get the likes all the way up. We had up to 30 people in here. Go ahead and get them up. I appreciate my wrenches in the chat doing the work. Cedric Taylor, bro, I see you, man. Arturo, absolutely, bro. Like, this is the part that I hate about boxing the most, is that we sit here, these big fights are supposed to be made, and they're not getting made, and it's the back and forth. But normally, now that we've got like Kambosos being interviewed, and it's essentially coming out of the horse's mouth, right? Where he's basically saying, like, you know, his stance and what he expects, and it kind of is a prelude and a good indication that the fight is creeping closer to be made. With my experience in boxing and talking about boxing for as many years as I have been talking about it, this is usually a good sign. When a fighter is willing to get on camera, interview, and, you know, talk about terms, talk about these type of things, I would say 8 out of 10 times the fight ends up happening. So that is a good side. Jim Diamond, was good. The number one grinder, real talk, man. What's good, man? Good to see you in here. I appreciate you guys. Haven't hit that like button, go ahead and hit it. If you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you guys follow me on that Instagram, man, because the whole reason is it's not for media. It's not for clicking like buttons. It's literally there as an alternative alert system to let you guys know when I'm going to go live, because you be on those shenanigans. People that are joining right now, I've been live for 30 minutes. And I bet you some of you are just barely getting your notifications. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So Instagram is a good alternative as an alert system. I posted about 30 minutes before I go live of, an artwork of the topic that I plan to talk about, so you guys can kind of prepare and make sure to make time to join the live stream. So let's assume that this fight is going to happen, right? All politics aside, let's assume that the fight is too big. Let's assume Kambosos has no choice but to fight Devin Haney. Even if Devin Haney and his team, behind the scenes do a counterattack and they don't agree with some small terms in the contract, I still think that Lou DiBella and Kambosos and everybody will be willing to change some things. Because honestly, I think no matter what your opinion is or what side of the fence that you stand on, I think it's a worse look for Kambosos than it is Devin Haney. Even if Devin Haney is trying to pull some things, show sleight of hand and doesn't want to agree to certain things, and even if Devin Haney is showing signs of trying to duck, it's not George Kambosos, by the way. Like, Devin Haney, in my opinion, is not afraid of George Kambosos. And I'm not laughing because I think George Kambosos isn't a good fighter or he's not a threat. I'm laughing because I truly believe that it has nothing to do with George Kambosos, and I truly believe Devin Haney will fight anybody in the division. I'm laughing because this has nothing to do with George, but has everything to do with the fact that he got to go to Australia. And it also has to do with the fact that it's going to be a one-fight deal. That's what it is. All right? So keep that in mind. Let me say it again. It has nothing to do with George Kambosos, but everything to do with going to Australia, signing a one-fight deal, and making sure that, if they're going to take this risk, take this fight, go into George Kambosos' backyard, then I'm going to get paid for it. You can't blame Devin Haney for that. Because Devin Haney will be walking into a hostile environment. Yes, George Kambosos has done that. I give him credit for that. He went into Teofimo Lopez's backyard, and what did he do? He dropped him, he outworked him, and he won the fight fair and square. So Devin Haney needs to return the favor. No problem with that. But I guarantee you what, though? Kambosos coming into America to fight for those belts, I promise you, he got paid. He got paid very well. So if you're going to say, Devin Haney needs to do what Kambosos did, cool. But Devin Haney needs to get paid like Kambosos got paid. And probably, and arguably, or actually it shouldn't even be an argument, he should get paid more than what Kambosos got paid to fight Teofimo, because Devin Haney is a champion. Y'all understand what I'm saying to you? He's a champion. All belts are on the line. Devin Haney deserves more than what Kambosos got to fight Teofimo for the belts. Okay? I hope y'all understand what I'm saying here. But if this fight isn't made, it's a bad look for Kambosos, not Devin Haney. Because Kambosos is inviting the young American champion to his own backyard. He's got to make sure, as the champ, he's got to make sure that, A, Devin Haney is getting paid fairly. B, Devin Haney has enough time to train. And C, there should be, I personally think there should be a rematch clause. Personally. I feel like that's a bit shady. Because here's the thing, guys. And this is another thing that agitates me. You were willing to give Lomachenko a 2-fight deal, but you're not willing to give Devin Haney a 2-fight deal. Why? Why is that? Because we have witnessed many times throughout boxing history where a fighter goes across the pond to fight a fighter in his hometown, and if it goes to distance, we know what could potentially happen. I hope it doesn't happen, But like I said, boxing history is riddled with examples of what could happen. And that's why if it's a close fight, some people may think Devin Haney won it, and some people may think that Kambosos won it. But we all know, if we're honest, if it's a close fight, like a Triple G Canelo type fight, Cambosis is going to get the decision. Okay? And that's why you do a 2-fight deal, because if it's a close fight and Cambosis gets the nod, he keeps his belts, then you run it back for a rematch to settle it, and it should be at a neutral venue, not back in Australia, and it doesn't have to be in America. Go somewhere neutral and settle it. That's my personal opinion. That's how I feel like this fight should be constructed, and I feel like if you construct it that way, there is no reason why this fight can't happen. That's my opinion. Okay? You can't just say, hey, you got to come to Australia. I might give you a 4-week fight camp. I'm probably going to pay you less money than I gave Lomachenko, and it's a 1-fight deal. So if you lose, too bad. If it's a close fight and I get the decision, too bad. Because that's a bullshit situation for Devin Haney to be involved in. Making those sacrifices to go out there, lose a close decision because he's in Kambosos' backyard, and because Kambosos won't honor a 2-fight deal, Devin Haney's basically going to the back of the line. He loses his belt. Lomachenko, he can't find Lomachenko because we don't know what he's doing out there. So the only fight that he can fight would be Teofimo. But I don't think Teofimo wants to fight Devin Haney anyway, unless for some crazy scenario, Kambosos knocks out Devin Haney. Then Teofimo might want to fight Devin Haney. But that kind of has me segue into my thoughts about this fight. Now, once it is officially launched and announced, I will give you guys my more official breakdown / prediction of this fight. But for the sake of this live stream, I think this fight's going to be a lot closer than what a lot of people think it's going to be. When I look at this fight, man, I have to factor in a lot of different scenarios. If I were to keep it simple, Stormy B, man, in the building. Tom Etheridge, what's good, man? It's been a while since I've seen you. I see Dirty Chivo in here, man. It's good to see you. Trick Boxing, salute, man. I appreciate you. As y'all can see, man, I'm back stateside. It's good to be back, and I finally was able to get back on the mic and chop it up with you guys. Thank you. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. The likes all the way up. Let the people know we're in here chopping it up, talking about box. But I think this fight is going to be a lot closer than what a lot of people realize. And I factor in a lot of different things. But let me start with just skills alone, right? All things perfect scenario. These two dudes match up. Who do I think has more skill? Well, obviously, I think Devin Haney does. I think he's got more boxing ability. I think he's got more athleticism. I think he has a great boxing IQ. I can go down the list of all the little small details and the attributes that I think he has that are out of a higher level than Kambosos. But we are not talking about a perfect scenario. We are not talking about a scenario where, essentially it's a level playing ground. You may say, well, Divine, what are you talking about? Kambosos has deserved the right to have his fight go to Australia. Well, that's fine. But let's be honest here. It's in his hometown. Right? It's not a neutral venue. It's in his hometown. People, don't forget this. When you're doing fight predictions and breakdowns, don't forget this. And also don't forget A1 Hoop Zone in the building. Also don't forget that Kambosos is a very tough and rugged hitter. This is not a guy who's going to lay down. And it's definitely, if he didn't lay down against Teofimo in this most recent fight where he won the belts, when he was hurt too. Kambosos was hurt too. He didn't lay down in America when all odds were against him and he's an underdog. He sure as hell ain't going to lay down in Australia in front of his home crowd. So we know he's rugged. We know he's tough. We know he wants to represent Australia well. And we know that he does have some skill. This guy is not absent of skill. Do I think he has as much or better skill than Devin Haney? No, but he is not absent of skill. People, let's not forget that Kambosos went in there and outboxed Teofimo Lopez, man. He didn't, you know what I'm saying? He didn't go in there and try to, outpunch him and got a lucky shot. The main thing is he wasn't scared. He wasn't scared of Teofimo. He was confident. He had a hell of a game plan. And yeah, sure, Teofimo Lopez beat himself in a lot of ways because he underestimated Kambosos and he thought it was going to be easy. And that's why we always tell you, if you've ever done boxing before, if you ever boxed before, we always say in the gym, underestimate no man. Because you don't even know what he's fighting for, really. At the elite level, we have little factoids, right? We have ideas like, oh, this guy's mom died, or oh, this guy comes from a rough neighborhood or rough background, he's trying to represent this, that, or whatever. But we don't really know what these dudes are going through. And this is at the elite level. This is the pay-per-view level. This is prize fighter type shit. But in local gyms, dudes come in there. You don't know what kind of experience they have. You don't know what they're going through. And I've seen situations where dudes say, oh, I've only sparred a few times. I don't got that much experience. But they're so angry. And they got shit they're dealing with. And they come in there and just blast a dude. Is it right? No, it's not right. And I've seen dudes get kicked out of a gym and never allowed to return again because they've done that. But my point is that you don't know what a man is carrying in a ring. And that's exactly what Teofimo underestimated in Kambosos. But you got to give Kambosos credit where credit is due. The man came in shape and the man came in with a game plan. And he stuck to that game plan even when he was hurt. So we have to factor this in. When we talk about the man's fighting in his backyard, the man's trying to put on a show, the man's trying to represent, we know he's rugged, we know he's tough, we know he's not going to quit. He's going to come in shape. I think, Jim Diamond, I appreciate you. Mr. P. Debs, what's good, man? Good to see you. I think that this fight is going to be much closer than what people think it's going to be. So let's also take into consideration maturity. Maturity, right? Kambosos is the older fighter. Devin is full of confidence. But is he mature enough to go across the world, step into another man's backyard, when he's in an environment where people are booing him, heckling him? He's now essentially, now we may have him as the favorite here in America, right? We support Devin Haney, but over there, to them, he's the underdog because their champ is at home. Our champion, our boy, Kambosos, he beat the champ, right? He knocked the dude off that everybody thought was the most powerful puncher in the lightweight division. Our boy did that. Kambosos did that. He's the man. That's what they think out there. So Devin Haney going out there doing press conferences, cruising around Sydney, Australia, or wherever it's going to be, Melbourne or Perth. I don't even know where they're trying to fight at. But the point is, he's cruising around. He's the dude now where people feel like he ain't good enough or skilled enough or have what it takes to beat their man, the guy who knocked off the king. It's going to take maturity to be able to deal with that. We know, let me say this again, we know that Devin Haney is confident, but will he be mature enough? Let me go ahead and highlight the sensei's comment here. He says, this is a fight Devin can easily lose based on lack of proper mental approach. Today's men are built different. They do not draw from source as men of old. See Charlo, Tank, etc. Big time facts. This is not a situation where we're talking about Ali going to Africa and beating George Foreman. Those men, in particular in that fight with Ali, they're cut from a different cloth. Ali is cut from a different cloth, people. No, it's not. I ain't trying to throw shade at Devin Haney, but that's my whole point. By the time Ali went to Africa to face George Foreman, which, by the way, a lot of people thought he was going to get destroyed. People thought that George Foreman was going to tear Ali's head off. Too big, too strong, younger, ferocious, and not to mention, they saw what he did to Joe Frazier. But what did Ali have? He had the mental fortitude and the maturity. He was a distinguished fighter with experience by the time he went to Africa by George Foreman. You have to understand the sport of boxing. Not only the physical aspect of it, the physical demand and the mental demand that it takes to be at the top level, and also the history of the sport. So when we're talking about this fight, we're breaking it down, we're predicting it, we're looking at it. You can't just look at it as black and white, side by side. Look at that paper, look at the film, their fight films, and say, well, Devin Haney's just way more skilled. This is a fight where he can win easily. You got to factor in so many things because case in point, Ali was supposed to be more skilled than George Foreman. He had a jab. He had experience. We didn't know what kind of Ali we were going to get. Nobody really expected the rope-a-dope. Some maybe suggested that he would do it, but nobody really was going to bet their money on it. So Ali was the underdog. Devin Haney going to Australia. In Australia, he will be the underdog because Kambosos is the man over there. He's the one who dethroned the king. So, when we talk about this fight and we look at it, you have to be critical and look and factor in these things. Now, like I said, I'm going to come out, I'm going to do an official prediction / breakdown. And right now I'm just freestyling, right? I'm throwing different things at you guys. I'm throwing different perspectives, different angles. Y'all can digest it and think about it. But once it's signed, sealed, and delivered, I will do an official breakdown. But trust me, man, I don't take these type of things lightly. When I do my predictions, I don't take it lightly. I've been doing this for a long time. 85-90% of predictions that Divine Sense Boxing drops, you can take it to the bank. And I will come out here honestly and tell you guys who I think is going to win this fight. But I'll tell you this right now. This is not going to be an easy fight. I believe it will be a close fight. But if you came in here a little bit late, some of you guys have been in here for quite some time, or even since I first started live, this is why this fight needed to be a 2-fight deal. Because like I said, it will be close. And if it's close, Kambosos will get the nod. Devin Haney will lose his belt. That is not good for boxing. And that is my opinion. All right. This should have been a 2-fight deal. And not only because of the reason that I just stated, but also the fact that you were willing to give Lomachenko a 2-fight deal. So why didn't you extend the same courtesy to Devin Haney? It makes me scratch my head. So, Blitz, I mean, I see you in the comment section, man. You're expressing your opinion. Cool. But answer the question for me and everybody in the chat. And I'm indifferent with this fight. I think that Devin Haney has more skill than Kambosos. I've said that multiple times. But I've been one of these guys who've given Kambosos a lot of credit. I went live, did live commentary of Kambosos and Teofimo Lopez, and I was shocked at Kambosos and what he was able to do. And I gave him credit for weeks and weeks for what he was able to pull off. As a matter of fact, for the whole year of 2021, I think that fight and the Wilder Fury fight were the only 2 fights that I got my predictions incorrect. I didn't think Kambosos was going to pull it off, and he did. And I'm not proven wrong very often. But what we're looking at right now with the Devin Haney situation, my question for you, Blitz, is a simple one. Why isn't Kambosos? Why isn't Kambosos extending the same courtesy to Devin Haney as he did to Lomachenko? He was going to offer Lomachenko a 2-fight deal with X amount, and I've heard rumors of different amounts of money. I heard 600,000. I heard up to $1 million. I don't know what it is exactly. But why isn't he extending the same type of courtesy? And why is he putting a timeline on for Haney to make a decision, a very important and difficult decision, to pack up his entire team and go 20 hours to Australia? It is a legitimate and fair question to ask. You don't gotta like Devin Haney. You can be the biggest supporter of George Kambosos, and I got no problem with that. But sometimes these things need to be explained. Now, hopefully, the fight will be done and dusted and signed, sealed, and delivered, and all this shit won't matter. But I will be here to remind people that when the fight is close, to the point where people can't decide on who won the fight, and George Kambosos gets the nod, and there's not a rematch, there's not a 2-fight deal, and people are upset that they can't get a rematch, I'm going to be here to remind you of the shenanigans that happened months before, where George Kambosos and his team did not offer Devin Haney a 2-fight deal. I will say that. And I'm not always a proponent or a supporter of rematches and 2-fight deals and stuff like that. Sometimes it's not necessary. Champion fights a contender or the mandatory or whatever. He's the overwhelmingly favorite. He wants to get this dude out of the way and move on to his next fight. He don't want to do a rematch. Okay. But this is not what we're talking about. Devin Haney is a champion. Devin Haney is a real legitimate threat to take those belts. This is fact. So why isn't he extending the same courtesy to Devin Haney as he's shown to Lomachenko? Deanna Branch, I see you. It's always good to see you. I know it's been a while. I appreciate you stopping by. Nitty G, what's up? And, of course, crickets, right? Crickets. Y'all come in here talking crazy shit, man. Y'all come in here talking nonsense. And I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Let people come in here and express their opinion. And, and BFTB stated it. Oh, I see Blitz he was hidden. All right, so he can't reply because my wrenches bopped him up out of here. See, that's what happens, bro. That's what happens when you come out here, when you come in here with no substance. You can't just say, well, I don't like Devin Haney, and then talk shit. Like we just don't operate like that here, man. And just like BFTB was saying the other day when I was listening to him, us content creators, right? We open up these live streams. We open up the live chat. And we allow people to come in and express their opinions. But you got to do it logically. You got to do it with class. You got to do it with intellect. You come in here saying a bunch of dumb shit, you're going to get bopped up out of here. I got wrenches in here for a reason. They have earned their loyalty. They have earned the right due to their unwavering support to the channel to have a wrench and conduct the chat accordingly. So yeah, for sure. You want to state an opinion, no problem. But do it with intellect. Jay Gibson, what's good, bro? It's been a minute. Good to see you up in here. And I'm very lighthearted for the most part. It takes a lot for me to get lit. It takes a lot for me to, I'm very lenient in comparison to a lot of content creators out here. For a lot of content creators, you got to be subscribed to the channel for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks in order for you to be able to express your thoughts in the live. For me, I only say you got to be subscribed to the channel for 10 minutes. That's it. You got to be scared. You can't even wait 10 minutes to construct a logical way to approach your opinion, and you still find a way, you still figure out a way to fuck it up. So I'm lenient. I'm lighthearted. I'm very tolerant. I'm very patient with people, way more than these other content creators. Some of these content creators that I'm referring to, I got a lot of love and respect for them. But they rule with an iron fist on their channel. That is their right. That is their channel. They can conduct themselves accordingly how they see fit. But over here, I do allow people to express themselves. Marion G. Allow people to come in and express their opinion, ? Yet they get banned when they say something your wrenches don't like. Oh yeah, real democratic. Well, first off, be careful when using the word democratic because you might ruffle some feathers, and I'm talking about myself. But look, without getting into the definition of vocabulary, let me explain this real quick, people. Let me explain this. Because I know this is a very common opinion from a lot of people. This is the problem. This is the problem. And listen carefully for everybody that is still listening right now, who feels like Divine Sense or Stormy B Man or any of these other channels out here who have wrenches, who bot people out, right? Who ban them, who silence them, who hid them, and they get upset and they get all wild up and they want to go and cry about it. I want to make one thing clear. Now, I try my best to tell my wrenches, even though they may have opinions that they have a passion for, and they don't want people coming in here disrupting the flow of the live chat. But I always try to encourage my wrenches to practice patience, to give people the benefit of the doubt. Does it always happen? Are some of my wrenches quick on the trigger? Sure, it happens. But I want to explain something to you guys so you guys understand. The people that come in here when I go live, these are loyal subscribers. They are subscribers who are consistent with every topic that I talk about. They come in, and it doesn't matter if they agree with what I'm saying or not. They come in, they hit the like button, they send super chats, they send Cash App. They show love regardless of their opinion matches mine or not, because they are loyal and they appreciate me. They appreciate the content that I put out. Right? So when you are subscribed to the channel, although I appreciate you for subscribing, but you don't show your face but once every 6 months, and then you expect your opinion to be heard, well, you're basically walking into the lion's den. Because these are people, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're basically a small family out here. At the end of the day, boxing within itself is a sport of a very small community in comparison to bigger sports out there. It's not even in the top 5, right? Then, as you get past the big channels here on YouTube, Ego, Dante, 78, all these big channels, Blue Blood, Champside, once you get through those, then it's channels like myself. And we have a very close-knit community. Now, you may come in and listen to me do a live commentary in a fight. Be like, yo, I like this guy, this commentary. He knows boxing. Cool. Subscribe. You're subscribing to the channel, but you're not becoming a part of the channel. Does that make sense? So what I'm suggesting is, I'm not saying that I agree or I support my wrenches to be quick on the trigger. I think we all need to practice a little bit of patience. But at the same time, this shit happens because we don't know who you are. We don't recognize you. And as the channel grows and expands, people come in here and they show love and they show appreciation, and we talk intellectually. And people like new people. We accept new people to the channel all the time. They become a part of the community. But when you come in here and talk a little bit of nonsense, and it's an opinion that is very unpopular, you better be ready to express it in a very intellectual way, because like I said, you're subscribed to the channel, but you're not a part of the channel. Like my man G5 Gabe points out, when shit gets real and we start talking that real shit, what happens? I see the viewership go from 40 to 15. $40 to $15, just like that, because people don't. That just tells you again the loyalty. That's it. G5 getting that badge, man. All right, bro, I got you, man. I appreciate you supporting the channel. See, that's what I'm talking about. Look at all these people who are official members of the channel, donating every month to keep me motivated to come on here and talk about boxing. Bear with me, I'm just catching up with the chat a little bit. Nora Ma says, never saw this pod before. I like it. Don't let these shit talkers change their narrative. I respect you, bro. If you're new to the channel, man, and you've hit that subscribe button, well, I hope that you continue to come into these live streams, and even if it's for 5 minutes. For 5 minutes, yo, Divine, what's up, bro? Salute. Hit the like button. People pay attention to that. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't take much. Not everybody has an hour to just be chilling, listening to a whole live stream. I go live for a long time because I want to try to get a lot of people in here periodically to come and hear a message. You know what I'm saying? But even if it's 5 minutes of your time showing love, people pay attention to it. But when you, like, you know what I'm saying? I can be talking for 20 minutes and you be saying something, oh, Devin Haney's a piece of shit. Or, oh, Devin Haney's a ducker. Or this. It's like all you're trying to do is, I mean, if you're trying to get attention, well, you're going to get it. All right? So it's not hard, man. I do the same thing. I do exactly the same thing. When I bounce around and I go to the channels that I appreciate, sometimes I don't got much time and I just, hey, I'm dropping in, hit the like button, salute, respect, shout out to the chat, and I go on my day. And that means a lot. You know what I'm saying? So, I see my man William trying to get me back on track. I'm sorry, man. It's just, God, man. Divine Sense, I've been saying that Diz has to beat the brakes off Kambosos to walk out with those belts. Yeah, he really does. He absolutely does. And that's why when we, like I said, when we make these fight predictions and we do these breakdowns, you got to be critical. You got to consider all things. All right? You got to consider all things. A young man leaving the country, traveling 20 hours. He might get a 4 to 5 week training camp. You hope at least that. Walking into another man's backyard. Everybody in Australia, they think Cambosis is the man, right? It's not like they feel like Cambosis is trying to sneak through the back alleyway to keep these belts. They believe in him. They believe in him, y'all. They believe in Cambosis. They feel in Australia that Devin Haney is the underdog. So to William's point, yeah, he's got to go in there and beat the brakes off of him or knock him out. Especially knowing that there's not going to be a second fight. You're not going to be offered a second fight. So be cautious. We're on here talking about it, and it's cool, man, because I cruise around and when this topic is talking about, a lot of people talking shit about Kambosos, and I understand why. You know what I mean? But I don't co-sign everything because there's a lot to this. There is a lot to this. There's a lot of stuff that Devin Haney has to consider. You know what I mean? And no disrespect to Haney, but it's easy to, tweet stuff and be like, I'll take anything. I'll take whatever money. Just give me the fight, right? That's the easy part. But when the contract is sent to you and then you got to calculate and consider all things, like I said, the flight, the training camp, all this different stuff, the fact that there's no rematch clause, then it gets real. Then you know that it's real. Do I feel like it's fair or right for Kambosos to do that? No, not necessarily. I don't. Because I don't think it's fair that he's not keeping the same energy for Devin Haney as he showed for Lomachenko. But at the same time, I don't co-sign the whole the whole idea that Kambosos is the main source of the fight not happening. Right now, Devin Haney is considering all of his options, and he's weighing his options. So, in my opinion, what's good, bro? Thanks for stopping by. As I was saying earlier, and to finalize my points here, because I'm going to run off and hit the gym. And, oh, by the way, since I'm here, I'm going to be in the States for another 8 or 9 days. I'm going to try to hit up a local boxing gym here, and I want to give you guys Keys to Victory video of Spence and Ugas. That is on the agenda. I'm going to try to squeeze it in. Hopefully one of these local gyms out here where I'm at will allow me to come in and film. And that's the plan, because I really want to get that out. It's a huge fight. I know a lot of people are excited about it. And I want to give you guys keys to victory for both of the fighters. Something that I did for the Errol Spence Manny Pacquiao fight before it was canceled and Manny Pacquiao fought Ugas. But something like that. And I know a lot of you guys enjoyed that. So I want to do that as this fight continues to creep closer and closer. But when I look at this fight, Kambosos and Devin Haney, like I said, man, I think it's going to be a very close fight. I think that sometimes we get a little bit intertwined and consumed with what we see on the cover. On the cover of this amazing story of Devin Haney, he's phenomenal, right? He catches your eye, right? You're at a bookstore, you're browsing, and you're looking for a good book to read. You know what I'm saying? And Devin Haney's that guy. For face value, the cover of the book it catches your eye, right? The title, the graphics, everything. You're like, damn, right? Kambosos, maybe not so much. Maybe he's a little bit rough around the edges, right? Doesn't catch your eye right away. But don't get it twisted, man. I'm not here to bullshit around and ride the train, or any train for that matter. I'm gonna give it to you guys raw and authentic, and that's why you guys are subscribed. Kambosos is not a pushover. Whatever you may think about him, whatever you may not agree with his business maneuvering, the dude is not a pushover. And if you thought that he was tough in America fighting Teofimo Lopez and pulling that fight off, taking those belts even when he was hurt, you best believe he knows he's going up against a very talented fighter in Devin Haney. He's going to come in shape. He's going to come prepared. He knows that he's got his country behind him. And he's not stupid. He knows that Devin Haney can't just come in and try to box comfortably. He knows that that Devin Haney can't just come in, try to work behind the jab, you know what I'm saying, and land some combinations and try to squeeze by an ultimate or a unanimous decision. Kambosos himself knows that will not be enough in his backyard. He knows that Devin Haney has got to come in, unleash hell, hand speed, boxing ability, beautiful combinations, sound defense, and if the knockout comes, even better. Kambosos knows that's the type of Devin Haney that he's about to see. And rightfully so. So I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. I think it's going to be an extremely entertaining fight. And I'm here to remind everybody that if you think that Kambosos is a guy that's pretty tough, but Devin Haney's going to light his ass up, I just agree with it, man. I see a lot of, flaws. And when I do my official breakdown video, I'm going to tell you guys what those flaws are in Kambosos. He's got flaws in his game. And one thing that Teofimo doesn't have that Devin Haney has is the hand speed and the ability to put combinations together and go to body, head, body, slip underneath, and make you miss and make you pay. But he doesn't crack you like Teofimo does. So there's a lot of flaws and a lot of holes in Kambosos' game. But he does bring a lot to the table. He's going to bring experience and he's going to bring maturity. And don't be surprised if Devin Haney comes out very fast, very quick, looks explosive and sharp early, where you may think, oh, this is going to be a demolition. And then all of a sudden, Kambosos starts getting in body work. Kambosos starts pushing him up against the ropes. Kambosos starts getting in these sneaky looping hooks over the top. The crowd gets into it. The adrenaline is pumping. And all of a sudden, it starts becoming a very entertaining and tough fight. So, without giving away too much of what I plan to put in my official prediction video / breakdown video, that's what I want to leave you guys with. So try your best to not get too caught up with the hype. Try not to get too caught up with, like I said, face value. You got to open the book. You got to read it. You got to digest it. That's why we do film studies. And that is why you are subscribed to Divine Sense Boxing, because that's what I'm going to give you. But it is the fight that should have been made. Lomachenko should have never been in the conversation. He shouldn't have been the dude that was Kambosos' first pick. You don't fight the dude that just lost to the dude that you just beat. No, you don't do that. But everything happens for a reason. And although it's a very difficult situation in the Ukraine right now, and Godspeed to the Ukrainians and to Lomachenko, everything happens for a reason. This fight is destined. And Kambosos has now been pushed into a corner. He's got no choice now. It doesn't mean that means he will automatically lose this fight. Devin Haney's still going to have to show up and get the job done and do it in grand fashion, just like Mayweather did against Gotti. That's the type of performance, in my opinion, that he's got to pull off. Can he do it? Will he do it? Will be the question. But I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys with that, man. I'm going to go ahead and hit the gym, do my thing. I'm glad that, I'm stateside now. It's great to be able to go live at a decent time instead of struggling to figure out if I'm going to go late night or early morning in the heart of the afternoon. So hopefully people, as they get off work, they come and check out the live stream, put their opinions into the chats and into the comment section. And I'll be back with another one, maybe another live tonight or tomorrow. We will see. Like I said, on the horizon will be the breakdown video, the keys to victory, Spence Ugas. I'm really looking forward to making that one, doing that one, editing it, getting uploaded within this week before I head back out of the States. So that's on the horizon. I also want to talk a little bit at some point about Triple G is back in the ring. Ryan Garcia is back in the ring. And, of course, we got the Canelo fight. Of course, we got the Charlo Castaño fight. We got a lot of fights to talk about. Really looking forward to it. Y'all continue to stay up, be strong, be positive out there. If you haven't hit that like button yet, just scroll down on your phone or on your laptop or your tablet. Kill that like button, man. Let the people know that you came in to listen to boxing, real boxing talk here in Devin Says Boxing. If you're new to the channel, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and follow me on IG, because I will alert you guys 30 minutes before I go live. That way you guys don't miss it, and we'll be able to be involved in the live chat. I appreciate you guys immensely, man. Stay up. Like I said, man, stay strong. Be positive out there. Great to see a lot of familiar faces and also faces that I haven't seen for a while. Very good to see you guys back in the chat. Hope you all doing well out there. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.